Welcome to that episode of the Waka Sofa. By the way, Toyin, I wait to save that as the intro, that laugh. And today's guest is Toyin Oni. And for those who know are Toyin, but I mean, I've been trying to get Toyin to do this stuff with me, and Toyin is available now. And the great thing about Toyin, if you don't know Toyin, or those who get to know Toyin, is that Toyin, your page makes life like slow motion, like when you make it. You know when Neo does like your page is very calming. Like I've known Toyin since secondary school, like we went to secondary school and smart, all that, but like you know how Instagram gives you a little bit highlight into someone's life. Your page is very like it slows down. Like, come on, life no be rush. Life not a JJ. Take it easy. Enjoy your. Uh, so how did you become that person? Were you always that person, or was there something that was like, yo, man, slow down and enjoy this thing called life and be present?
So I don't know. I won't say that I don't really feel like there's a moments in time where I became that person. I think as with many other things in life, right? Like you kind of just evolve more into several different areas of your life. So you might find that you've always been ambitious, but then the older you get, you become more ambitious. So you start to think widely about opportunities or whatever. So that's kind of like how it's been with me. This is super random, but like even as far back as I was like 6 or 7, I used to write poems, I used to write songs that I never sang in the end. So I used to write a lot. But I think that obviously as life went on and circumstances happened and stuff like that, probably that part of my life became a little bit more visible. And I think in terms of you saying that it's slow and calming, I guess it's great to hear that that's how
Yeah.
it makes people feel. But I think for me, it's really just about giving yourself comfort, I guess, regardless of what's happening. So whilst we're either chasing goals, but making sure that you're giving yourself comfort whilst chasing those goals. And I think one of the things that brought that to light for me was like a period of time where I just had this whole confusion about my work situation and what I wanted to do and like pivoting and blah blah blah. And because I mean, probably like you say, in school, my only reputation was that I was smart. So like I don't think many people know whether I was funny, whether I was like a fun person, nothing. It was literally just, oh, this person that gets good grades. So a lot of my identity was very tied to either being a smart person or getting good grades or, doing all of those kind of like work slash moving forward related stuff. And when I was in this season or moments of being like, what do I even want to do? Am I even doing this because somebody wants me to do it? Or am I doing it because I'm driven by doing it? I started to also think that my life and my identity and my happiness should not be um dependent on whether those things go according to plan or not. It should be very much um sorry, one moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my life or my identity should not be dependent on whether those things go to plan or not. It should be about who I am, what I do, what I like doing, and just really being able to give myself comfort, even in the fact that, because one thing that I always say is that people go through hard things, and the thing is hard, but then the emotional experience that you tie to that thing is probably like way harder. So, like for example, maybe you go through a breakup and then that's the breakup is hard. But then you tell yourself, oh, it means I'm not good enough. It means this, it means that. And that is actually the part that's like 80% of the pain. 20% is breakup, oh, I missed this person. 80% is whatever you make it mean, right? So I kind of just had to learn to give myself comfort because the reason why you have other people in your life is when you feel bad or whatever, they comfort you. But then you shouldn't always have to wait for it to be someone else. You should also find ways to give yourself comfort. So yeah, that's basically the thinking behind this. Yeah.
And when you said that you had started writing poems, it just came back to me, and I don't know whether you remember this. Do you remember that you sang Ashabi Bante one time in your last year?
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
Actually, just came back to where you said that you used to do poems, and I remember the time you actually sang Ashabi Bante, and
Mhm.
now your page, like I've said, like I genuinely like it because I remember when you started your gratitude series, at this, I think was it COVID
It was
time?
like 2 years, or nearly 3 years ago, actually.
Post-COVID, pre-COVID. It
It
was
was pre-COVID, actually.
pre-COVID, and you started your gratitude, and you used to give gratitude to the simplest of things, like I'm grateful today for YouTube. I'm grateful today for my AirPods. I'm grateful today for what else did you say? I think you said
I
something
think it was like
around
electricity.
electricity stuff that yo man, I'm actually grateful to God for these things. And I think that was when I even first reached out, like, yo, Toyin, man, I want to, because like also being intentional with your thinking and guarding your space. You know how they say, I'll not go and misquote this thing, and my mother will know that my Bible game is not strong. Guard your heart with all you get, like,
Because everything that you do
come
flows
from
from it.
okay. And it was that, it was just like, man, everything you were being grateful for everything, like no matter what was going on in the world, it was just there was this sense of gratefulness that came out from everything you said. It's even the little things like Starbucks or going to get
Mm-hmm.
your community. I don't want to say were you always grateful, because, but how do you keep pushing that and just finding the blessings in the little things to kind of, yeah, just finding the blessings. How do you keep finding the blessings in the little things that people sometimes take for granted? And like the world is so busy that you can get distracted, but how do you find
Mm-hmm.
blessings in this the minute things? And
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think it's number one, I've always been a very deep person, like I said, so deep thinker, all of those stuff. But also I think probably my relationship with God is also something that brings that to light as well. I generally always I think you almost can't get close to God without having that depth to you. And I always think about how vast God is. And I always think about, I mean, maybe also this is the analytical side of my mind, thinking about statistics. So like, what is the chance that I was going to go to Olashere and be in the same school with you and then meet you and then keep in touch with you all through this time? Like, there's a 1 in a million chance. There's also there's always a 1 in a million chance that all the things that happen to you in your life happened in the way that it happened. So I just generally don't think that things are incidental. If I go out and I bump into someone, I'm the type of person that will deep it, that I'll be like, oh, there was a reason I saw you today. There was a reason you walked into my life. There was a reason why I missed my train so I could be at this station. Do you know what I mean? So I generally don't have the view that things happen by chance. And I think so whenever you have something that happens that goes right, rather than like fidgeting about things that didn't go right, whenever you have something that happens that did go right, you should actually have the chance that have the view that I'm grateful for that thing. Now, I do not want to seem holier than thou because I don't have the mental sophistication, I guess, to think in this way all the time. So one thing that I usually say to one of our mutual friends that you know very well is that a lot of the time I actually go back to my own page to give myself comfort,
yeah,
like things that I've written in the past. When I'm thinking like, oh my God, life is a mess, blah, 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 I actually go back to my own page as if it's just a random resource and I read some of the stuff that I've written when I was in a more, I guess, mentally strong mode to like encourage myself and stuff like that. So I guess it's just the fact that everybody goes through these phases and seasons, and everybody goes through phases where you're like, yeah, there's electricity and there's oxygen, but I just don't feel like my life is going great. But you kind of just come back. I think it's just really just pulling people back to the space where you know you realize that there are actually things to be grateful for. So yeah.
and and side note, this is random, but I saw it recently. So there was a post of people that survived 9/11, and they were
Mm-hmm.
asking, I don't know if you've seen this post, and
Mm-mm.
the people that missed, that were supposed to be at the office, why were
Oh
they?
yeah. Oh yes, yes, yes. I think I saw.
And it was random stuff. Oh, my child forgot this, so I had to come back home to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
this one. Like, it was things that seemed like at that time they were all like complaining about something that went wrong. That's why they were not at work.
Correct. Yes.
At the end of the day, it was just like if somebody cut you off in traffic, if all the red lights are showing, you're where you're meant to be where you're supposed to be. And also,
Correct.
yeah, so you saying that just like because I read it recently and it's kind of changing because me too, I'm trying to be positive in everything I do, but also when things don't go as planned, man, it is what it is. Man, it was supposed to happen. Like as you said, My mom is like this, so she believes everything is spiritual. She doesn't believe. My mom does not believe. You can never tell my mom it's coincidence. My mom does. She said everything is supposed to happen because it's supposed to.
Yes. Yeah.
And
But
that
I think what I was just going to say is that it's actually very, very hard in a very difficult situation to believe that. Like especially immediately. So I think something that I started to learn is I want to influence situations. I want to influence situations, but I don't want to control situations. So I will put in what I can in a situation. If it doesn't work out, I will accept that that wasn't meant to happen. So it's important to me to change it as much as I can, but I don't want to be like so tied to the outcome or so tied to, or because I put this input, then I must get this output. No, I have to accept that whatever the output is going to be is, what God wanted to be, I guess.
and I'm going to write that down. I'm going to influence it but not control that. And doing like you have said, like influencing people and also I don't know that and you said yes, you've always had this with your writing. When your writing is beautiful, your writing gives life. Your writing
Thank you.
like you can tell that the writing comes from it's well thought of and it comes from the heart. So I don't even know whether this is a smart question or this is
Go
just
ahead, please.
when you write, are you like becoming a writer? Are you just this is what I love doing? So I'm just going to keep writing and inspire people or even inspire myself or just I'm writing for myself and this is what I think about. So what yes. I don't this question might not make sense, but when you
Right.
how do you yes. Who are you writing for? Are you writing for like this is I'm going to write, I want to become a writer, or you are already a writer, or are you just writing that this is what I feel in my soul and I just want to put it out there because it could have something positive on someone? Because even when you write and you write, oh, to the strong, powerful woman, sometimes I did remove that powerful woman and I put to the strong, powerful man because writing is beautiful. So I can gain from it. So I want to understand where you write, what is the plan for the writing or you get
Yeah. So I think generally as a personality, I generally just pursue my curiosities. I just find like to a large extent, I live like a child. Like I just like think this is interesting and I want to do it and think this and perhaps it's not necessarily the most productive thing to do. And that's probably a separate conversation for another day. But the way I just think about it is like, this is something that I do regardless. I like I said, I generally do it to be comforting to people and comforting to myself as well. And generally, I think I would definitely express myself much better writing than speaking, probably. So I generally just think if I have an idea, I'll put it down. And then rather than have lots of notes in my iPhone that nobody reads, I put them on Instagram. So I don't think obviously you're not the only person that has said to me, oh, do you want to write a book? Do you want to like make it into a product that people
yeah.
will want? But I guess when that becomes a curiosity, I'll explore it exactly. So, yeah.
But I'm all here for living like a child because I feel like because I also had a conversation with someone and we had this thing where we said the more you grow older, you kind of start thinking, when you think too much, like as a child, you're like, man, I want to try this thing, and you do it, and even if you suck at it or you don't do so well, by the way, I'm not saying you suck at it, your writing is beautiful, but if you suck at it, it's like we go again tomorrow, and I do get what I mean. As an
Mhm.
adult, you criticize yourself so much, like, no, how many people are really
I'm
saying
not that good.
I'm not that
Oh
good?
my God. Everyone's looking at me funny. It's awkward. Blah, blah, blah.
But as a
Yeah.
child, you just do it. And I spoke to someone and she said the same thing. And she was like, man, she's living life as a child. Like, yes, obviously we have more responsibilities now, like or more. If you not pay your bills, there's consequences. But yes, but on the outlook of life, if I see rain outside and I feel like I want to dance in the rain, I'm going to dance in the rain. If I feel like I
Mhm.
eat ice cream, I'm going to eat ice cream. I'm not going to be overthinking things and because sometimes that by getting older, it stops you from letting that because sometimes you see people do and I also saw this post and I'm sorry because I look at Instagram like posts that really inspire me. But somebody said if you see somebody do something and like your soul is really yearning for it,
Mhm.
is that inner child inside you saying, man, I want to try that
Mhm.
stuff to, like, maybe I'm really good in that stuff. Why do I come and now limit myself and say, and then I'm too old to try this thing, man. What if it fails? But like one of your write-ups said, but let's say it works. Like, let's say I give it my all and it works. And even if it fails, it's totally fine. It's just that at the end of the day, it's like when, like she says, I want to die empty. When I reach up to heaven and God says, "Omo, did you do what you said you were going to do when you were here? Or the talent I gave you?" I don't want to be the guys that put it under the bed and like I did it in a shape or form. And if it helps one person and inspires another person.
Yeah. I think the other thing about, like, I mean, I live like a child is not necessarily a life philosophy for me, but I was just using that to illustrate kind of like how I think this is interesting, I'll do it and I'll see what comes out of it. But I think the other thing about when we get older is that we actually lose a lot of faith about the possibility. So it's a combination of, I don't want to do the thing, but even if I do the thing, I don't have faith that it will work out anyways. So it's like the boundary is two layers. It's like, I don't want to do the thing because it's awkward. But then even if I do the thing, your faith that you will do the thing and it will be well and well accepted and it will go great is actually also just, yeah, people just generally have a lack of belief. So like people, and you'll find that faith is not necessarily just, unfortunately, that faith is not necessarily just your faith in yourself, but it's also the way other people see you. For example, most people, it's hard to accept, but and probably controversial. You can edit it out if you feel like it's needed. But most people generally have a view of everybody and imagine that that person is going to remain the same generally for the rest of their life. Right now, most people do. There's the odd person that knows that anything can happen because that's the reality of life. Anything can happen. But most people think, for example, however much money you have, or whatever, if you're a guy, whatever kind of babes that you can talk to, that's the limit of babes that you're ever going to be able to talk to. Or like whatever, I don't know, but whatever, everybody generally has a bucket that they put other people in, right? And in the same way, we human beings generally also have a bucket that we put ourselves in. Like you might tell yourself, I'm the quiet person. I'm not that guy that talks a lot. And you've told yourself that. And even if you are talking a lot, like you are in a room talking a lot, something in your head is telling you, well, I'm the quiet guy. I'm not that guy that talks a lot. Or yeah, I think I'm just using these examples to illustrate. But I think something that I find is that, and then you'll find people that are like 40 and 50, and then you talk to them about something, and they have a long list of reasons why it won't work, a long list of reasons why it doesn't make sense, or a long list of reasons why, yeah, then so many people have tried it and it won't work, or it doesn't make sense, or this and that. And it's like, because they're jaded. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I feel like experience is not meant to bring you into, I don't think experience should not make you jaded. Experience should bring wisdom. So the wisdom is learnings. So I experienced this, it didn't work, but I've learned that this is what you need to do so that it can work. It shouldn't make you think, yeah, it didn't work, it doesn't work. Which is what a lot of people allow experience to bring to them. Like I've already tried it, it doesn't work. And then that's it. Whereas the only difference between that and the second dimension, which is like gaining wisdom from it, is it didn't work, but this is why it didn't work, and this is what I'll do next time so that it can work.
Okay, let me start from the beginning, what you said. The thing about people, I think now I've come to be okay, not even now, for a long time. People are not meant to be the way they were 10 years ago. So for instance, let's say, look, let me use myself, for example. Let's say someone knew me as a loudmouth, like cracked jokes and just kept on cracking jokes. Funny guy, funny guy, funny guy. As you grow older, maybe still funny guy, but maybe know when to crack the jokes, know when to keep quiet, know when to listen. You expect people to evolve, and also, what's the word to say this? Allowing people to experiment on things. Like Idris Elba used to have this durag talks on Instagram.
Oh, really? Is that a thing?
He was the thing at the time. He used to wear durag and did some speaking. But he used to just say, don't let people put you in a box. So if you feel like you want to go and be a DJ today, go to a club and be a DJ. Like, don't let people put you in a box because it's like, oh, okay, for instance, I know Idris Elba just for acting. Let them know him for instance, music, fashion. Like, you're not meant to be one person. There's a whole of you and different phases of your life. Do you get what I mean?
Accentuates or like bring out
Different, yeah.
Different versions. Exactly.
Versions of,
Exactly. I think
you're a full-on variety pack, like Kellogg's that time. Now, full-on. If you pick me on a Monday, I may be a funny guy. If you pick me on Friday,
correct.
I may be a DJ. Pick me on Saturday, you have something else. Like,
Yeah.
but I feel like we shouldn't always just limit ourselves to one thing because life, and as you said, life's experiences shape us, but also there are also things like around you that can, like, how do I say this? You know how you have been in a small particular space for a while. We're both in Alashore. So I grew up in Port Harcourt. I go to school in Alashore, Osun State. But when I go to school in Osun State, I also see things from other people that live in Abuja, which is something I really enjoyed. Did you ever do NYC? Did you go to camp?
No.
Okay, let me bust ahead. Camp was beautiful. One of the best.
Is it like what's it called? Like immersive experiences. People are
Yeah, like we were so different. People that in a normal day in the world, you might never meet this person, and you can see different people from different aspects of life, and you're like, man, this world is beautiful. Like the little pleasures of life. Like, okay, after camp, let's go to Mami Market and drink. You see some, let's say, the richer kids say, oh, let's go and drink this. Well, me, I made friends with some guys that they just want to drink beer and eat fish and dance to, like, they don't, and then you go with them and you see them really working out with 5K. And this is beautiful to see because it's like, man, the world is so beautiful. Like experiences, like just sitting with someone and having a different conversation that this person is earning 19,800, like you, 19,800 naira, and they're still sending money back home to their mom. Do you get like, or still say, oh, I'm going to buy land in maybe Abiyokuta and I'm putting 2K aside every month. You just hear someone's thinking, and then it's like, okay, the world is a much bigger place, and you see it from their own perspective, and it then changes your own view of what life is supposed to be or what life is like when you're in the same thing, and then when you travel and you see different people. So I just supporting what you said. People evolve, and the more you step out of your comfort zone, or the more you do things, the more you find things. And one of my friends, Ugo, says, Ugo the Google, she says, life is like YouTube. The more you do things, it will suggest a video. You know how YouTube suggests a video? Watch this.
TikTok should be that analogy because once you watch one TikTok is like, okay, you like this?
I'll suggest this. So
yeah.
Step out and you do something. For instance, like I want to try being a DJ. Opportunities will come, and you're like, okay, try this. Maybe start off with a kids party. Then you're doing conference for someone's little, and then life just gives you, and at the right time. And I think all tying it back to God, what is meant for you will always be there for you. Like I don't feel like people should feel like they missed opportunities, because I feel like if God has it in your life that you're going to be this thing, like Jonah, if you like, if you like dive in the whale's mouth, like that, you'll still happen.
I was going to say something just when you were talking about like oh, I've completely forgotten now. What did you just talk about?
NYC.
No, before that, you're talking about like I think having. Oh yeah, being multidimensional. Yeah. Yeah. So just like I'm a variety pack or whatever. I was just going to say that's sort of what when you mentioned that actually I knew actually you were smart. that was literally it.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's also I also had to kind of sit with myself as well in terms of like that's the identity that other people had of me, and that's the identity I kind of had of myself. And I was like, but I'm also funny. I'm also like creative. I'm also like, I don't know. I'm different things. Like, do you know what I mean? And like, I don't just want to be smart. I'm also like warm, for example.
Yeah.
I'm also super friendly. Like, do you get? I don't like. It's annoying to just be the smart person, and I don't know. Ironically, a lot of people love being the smart person and love being the right person and love being the intelligent person, but because I've had the identity already in an earlier phase of my life. So if you notice, for example, my Instagram page doesn't really have that much about my work. I don't want, well, I know it's not a secret. I imagine if you go on LinkedIn, you can probably see my work, like career type work. But I just don't want that to be what I'm about because, yeah. And you can choose. Nothing is wrong, but it's a part of my life, but it's not my life. And for some people, it is. And, you know,
Yeah, spot on. Like, and how do we say this? Like when we're in high school, and this is because people, when we see each other and we get older and we're having meaningful conversations, then I feel like we were just going through life. Like we're younger, we didn't. Also, people, you know how they put it, class clown. This person always gets the award. Smart, most, the most person to become president or
most likely to be
likely.
blah, blah.
That was how school used to shape our thinking. But then you see people outside, like, bruh, when I see your writing, I'm like, yo, this baby is spitting fire. Like, you get like spitting fire. I didn't know this in Olafe, but I did know that, okay, she sang. I knew you had like a beautiful voice because I heard you sing the basket. But did I know that you were into writing? Honestly, no. And as you said, like how some people will see me as. So I went somewhere, someone saw me do something, and they're like, people, let's go there and go and do something. I'm like, nah, man, I'm going home. And then they're like, people, come on. Right? And I'm like,
that's year 2000.
But I'm going home. Like, we're also allowed to evolve.
Be different. Yeah.
Be different. Okay. And I think the more we get older, and I like the fact that people are we're having more open conversations. Like when we're younger, it was like, okay, you're supposed to be this. Like you get, as a child, you're like, okay, I'm going to be this, and I'm going to go through life like this, straight road. But the older you get, you kind of realize that you might get there. You're going to probably get where you're going, but life moves.
Yeah.
Life will probably take you like
yes,
this. Like, get to that junction, take your first left there. You get what I mean? Like that's life. But it'll definitely take you there. 17-year-old girl, I'll be happy and proud of you for going back to school.
Going back
to uni, school.
Oh, okay.
Congrats again on graduation.
Thank you.
What made you make that decision to go back to school, and why that particular school, by the
way? Why that particular school?
And what made you go back to
school? If we were going to go as specific.
Yeah, that particular school, because you said on your caption, you said that 17-year-old girl will be proud. So you like say you don't do it that to say, well, you are go here and go to why that particular school? So it's University of Cambridge, by the way. So University of Cambridge. That's mad. But why that particular school? And what sense? Why did you go back to school?
Yeah. So I think it was definitely a full circle moment for me. So why that particular school? Because I got rejected at undergrad. But also I think that so it was a full circle moment for me for a number of things. I definitely think that my rejection from Cambridge was my first major rejection that kind of like what's the word? Like a proper rejection that deals with your ego. You know, when you have a rejection that makes you think, finally, this is the evidence that you're not good enough. Do you understand? Like, I feel like everybody has that rejection, whether it's a breakup or whether it's like, do you understand what I mean? Like, so for me, that rejection was it was the first time I was applying to something, putting in my effort, writing essay, writing everything, asking people to review it, and then getting a no. So, and I remember it was a big thing, like my mom and my dad, like I had to go through a whole, oh my God, can you imagine? And then also when at my undergrad, I actually had the interview, everything. I physically went to my college. I got emotionally like attached to it, and then I got rejected. So and I don't think I had the mental sophistication to know that I may not have tried hard enough. Because in retrospect, I think I didn't try hard enough. I think I tried, but I don't think I gave it what was truly my best. I think there was a little bit of entitlement. Again, I had this identity of I'm the smart girl. Cambridge wants smart people. I'm the smart girl. I'm just gonna write an essay. Yeah, I'll review it, but okay, cool. And it was like, yeah, there are other smart people elsewhere.
But
There are other smart
maybe
people, do you get? And there are smart people that work their butts off, and there are smart people that over prepared for this interview. I think I did some prep, but I think in retrospect, like with what I know now, and in terms of my current work ethic versus my work ethic then, I definitely had an element of entitlement to that like Cambridge offer, which just shot me in the foot basically. So I had a lot of like, oh my God, it means I'm not good enough. And I didn't think, oh my God, it means I didn't try hard enough. Or oh my God, I wasn't smart about how I went about this. I don't think, for example, I spoke to anybody that studied at Cambridge and said, what was the application like or whatever. I kind of just thought, I'm smart. Like, do you know what I mean? So whereas now, what I would do for something that I really, 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 really want versus what I would have done then was different. Then I just thought, like, I mostly get everything I want. So, like, yeah, this is just going to be one of those things. And it shocked me. So that was that one. That was that one. But then I think the second one was the fact that my mom had been talking about going to go and do a master's, going to go and do a master's. And I kind of just thought, yeah, 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 I will. And after now processing like why I wasn't just doing this master's, I realized that there was also a lot of like, there was a part of me thinking, I can't, if I go back to school now, that's how I'll not pass. That's how, almost like, again, fear of not being the smart person. So like, what if I don't pass? Or like, I'm not in school mode now. So there were a lot of just doubts about my capability. So I almost felt like now I'm on this smart person pedestal. I'm on this smart person pedestal, and anything that I do can be used against me in the court of law. And so I think um, even sending out the application, again, uh, again, like I had to take my ego aside and be like, if you get rejected from Cambridge, it's okay. Like it doesn't define you as a human being. You can apply to Cambridge and not get in again, and it can be okay. You can write the exam and fail, and it can be okay. Like the sun will rise on the east. Does the sun rise on the east? Yeah. Sun will rise on the
it
east.
was one
Yeah,
on.
but everybody will be fine. Do you get? McDonald's will open and drive through open 24/7 a day. Like everybody will be okay. It's not like it's not this like catastrophic situation if you don't do so. I think just speaking to what I was talking about earlier about the fear of failure. I think I probably everybody has a fear of failure, but I probably had an exaggerated fear of failure when it came to kind of things having to do with intellectual capacity. Like I can't try this intellectual thing and not get it because oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. And I think I just had to kind of forgive myself and just be like, you can, and you might not get it for several different reasons. Maybe somebody else tried harder than you. Maybe you were not meant to go to Cambridge. Maybe like there could be a bunch of things. Or or maybe like you can apply next year and get it. So like I kind of just had to, you know, again, to use the term, comfort myself out of that fear and be like, okay, let's see, apply and let's see. I don't know whether you're going to. I like, I feel like also generally a lot of people will then tell themselves, you're going to get in, you're going to get in, and then disappoint themselves again. So I had to tell myself, I don't know if you get in or not. The only thing I know is that you can apply. The application is open, it's closing in 1 month time. You can write what you have to write and apply. And then when I got in, it was like, and then it was a two-year program, and I had this whole thing. I actually just got off the phone with my friend telling them that if you remember, anybody that knew me around when I started English was literally, I was literally the flakiest person ever. I started like the school started on Monday. I went on Tuesday, and that was because Monday I had paid the deposit and everything. And on Monday they called me and said, "We didn't see you in class today. What's the deal? Are you backing out?" And blah blah blah. And I was just like, I don't know. I think I called like three of my friends. So yeah, the Cambridge program has started. I just feel. So do you think it's a good idea? What do you think? And it was just like, dude, go to this Cambridge or don't go. You don't have to have this
Like,
long. Yeah, you don't have to introduce all this tension.
You don't have to put yourself under a lot of pressure. By the way,
Yes.
can you hear an echoing on your side, or is it just me?
No, I can.
I think it's just me. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. But you don't have to put yourself under this mental pressure because it's just a school. It's just a course. Like, chill out. School starts on Monday. Go to school. And if you're not going, leave the school. Don't, yeah.
And a question I want to ask is, where did you end up going to school when you didn't get Cambridge?
I went to Imperial College.
Did you enjoy your time at Imperial College?
Yeah, I did.
Did you make friends there that maybe that are still friends now?
I made friends there, yes. And I went to University of Muslim as well, made amazing friends. So, like, obviously, there's tons of my life story that was completely different. So I think, and even in retrospect, I don't even think it was so much that I was desperate to go to Cambridge. I think I preferred Imperial more, but I think I wanted Cambridge to give me an offer that I could reject. So that's what I mean by I had to really check myself and realize that it was an ego thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was really just about how can you say no to me?
Fair enough. And I'm happy you're being very honest with it. And why I asked that question about you going to Imperial and you being honest and saying that you enjoyed your time at Imperial and nothing, like you made friends and are still your friends is because maybe as much as you wanted it here, maybe it was not supposed to happen. Like God knew that, man, this is not supposed to be the path you go down now. Cambridge is for later when you decide to come back and do your like course, but not for this one. Because when you were talking and you were like, the first time you felt like, oh, that rejection, just to kind of show you maybe God didn't want it at that time was that there was a time I had an interview in Amsterdam from 9 and just look back. And in my head, I was like, I'm out of here, man. I'm going to get this job. Like I told my boss in 9 that time, I'm sick. Like, and then me and Popsy was sick at that time, but he helped me. I went to Amsterdam and in my head, I was like, so this is how it's going to happen. I'm going to get this job. And when I didn't get the job, and Toyin, I wanted to die because, first of all, it was Heineken in Amsterdam, and I was like, I'm going to water Heineken. My mom now started preaching like, oh, alcohol, God. I said, and I told her the salary that they were paying. She said, well, you can maybe work in the advertising department that says, don't drink. I said, Mom, see, yeah, God is telling you something. But that time my dad was sick. Yeah, my dad was sick, and it was like, yo, man, I wanted to go to Amsterdam. Like, and he even wanted me to go because he was like, man, it's going to be good for your CV and your career. But I didn't get it. And after doing we did a course where a whole of people applied for this course. I got to the first stage of interview. You know, when you are getting closer, you're like, why does that? And then they invited 10 people from different countries. And I'm like, so we have to get it. Our interview is my thing. I like to talk. So that is, and when I didn't get it, I was so sad. But looking back at it now, it's like, I'm happy I didn't get it. Like, I will tell you that I think my life is very much better because I didn't get it. Because when I was planning on going there, like my dad was sick. And in my head, it was like, okay. But when I didn't get it, me and him spent a lot of, I won't lie to you, like a lot of time together. It made me
analyzing.
No, just because he was sick and he
bonding.
Was yeah. But it made us spend all the time in the world because
together.
But we were just chilling. It was like, I don't get that move. It was sad for me, but it also changed my perspective on life. It made me slow down a bit and like, him might not be here for too long, bro. Enjoy all the time you have with him. Like at that moment, maybe the young me wanted it so much, but I remember when he passed, I remember that was one of the things I was grateful that I didn't get. Like it was something that I really wanted, but at the end of the day, I was like, I'm happy I didn't get that thing when I wanted it because of the time I got you get because of what else happened, like of economic the opportunity cost. I'm happy that I got to spend time with man because I didn't get it. Because if I had gone to Amsterdam, I wouldn't have.
You would have been far away.
Yes.
You have just been getting updates via
And then I'll have to, but then being at home and being there, like those were the last couple of months. But then we used to just chill. Like it was like, at a point that he used to even be feeling bad, like, I bet I'm sad you didn't get it. And in my head, I'm like, I'm not sad I didn't get it. Like, because what I'm doing here for me, my guy, is priceless. Like, it might not be anything, you might just be watching Arsenal. At that time, Arsenal they lose that. Even now we're top of the league, but we tell you that time Arsenal they lose that. But those beautiful moments, it was like it's like how we said about the 9/11 stuff. Life is supposed to be how life is supposed to be. Like to me, I was supposed to be working at Heineken, and I'm going to share beer. So boy, one of their cook for you, one other for you. You understand? But life is, and I'm happy you said it with your own mouth because I wrote it down like when you said I was supposed to be then, and I'm happy you then said you did enjoy yourself at Imperial at Nottingham because I feel like the journey life has taken you through instead what Toyin needed to succeed in this thing called like or added more flavor to
So I think again like I was saying, I think when I thought about like why I wanted to get into Cambridge, it wasn't so much because it was my first choice. It was just because it would have validated for me that identity as the smart person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it was really just about, and it's kind of like maybe to draw a life equivalent or whatever. Like you've built a reputation for yourself that interviews are my thing, blah 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 blah, and then not getting that. So it's so obviously there's disappointment of I really wanted to work in Heineken, so I don't get to work there. But then there's also imagine Heineken was not even a company you wanted to work at, but you tell yourself like this should be a piece of cake. Interviews are my thing now. I should just walk in and just do my thing. And then to now actually walk into an interview and not succeed, you now tell yourself, oh wow, like it kind of like breaks that reputation that you have of yourself, basically.
Yeah.
And I think for me the big lesson was just it doesn't matter. Like you can't build your identity on something that somebody else can determine or whatever it is. If you think that you are I don't know, if you're a friendly person or whatever, that's on you to be a friendly person. Or it's on you to bring into the world what you want to be. And somebody else's objective or subjective perspective on that thing is neither here nor there. Like somebody that, for example, if somebody's so for example, I am a very, I don't need to say very, but to a large extent, there's people that experience me as like maybe strict or harsh or whatever it is, because I would have boundaries on a certain thing. Like I might say like, oh, I don't want you to do this, or after today, I'm not doing this anymore. As far as I'm concerned, that's setting a boundary. The person might experience it as, oh, she's this or she's that. And basically being more of yourself is allowing yourself to be that thing and being okay with the fact that somebody else might experience it in that way. So I guess at 17 or whatever, I didn't have that mental sophistication. Like I said, all I thought was, I'm only smart if Cambridge, I don't know, assessors count me as smart. And if they don't, that means I'm not smart. And oh my God, what a catastrophe that is. Yeah.
Like, and this is like that opera stuff, and this is the last thing. That opera stuff where somebody asked opera when she was still young, starting up the opera show, and they were like,
oh yeah. I saw that video where she was like, I was still.
She was like, if it fails, it fails, but I'll learn from it. But me myself as an individual, I will succeed. Like I am not that thing. That thing is from me. It is brain, like it's creation. But if it fails, it fails. Or I don't even see it as failure. I learn from it. You get. But me as an individual, I will still succeed. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a part of it. So, since you write beautifully, you read, and a lot of your life is based on faith, which you have already mentioned. What is a quote you are using for this season of your life? A quote or a Bible verse that you are using for this particular season of your life?
Oh gosh, that's a little bit hard. So I don't know if it's I'll keep Bible verse. I'll keep Bible verse because I don't know if I have one. I have several that I'm kind of, I guess, meditating on. But I think quotes wise is mind your business. And by mind your business, again, this is something that is very, very fundamental to me in the sense that mind your business is not just put your mouth in other people's business, but it's also take your business and mind it. like whatever it is that is your business, like whether it's actual business that's making money, or your work, or your life, or your bed and your room, or your friends, or whatever it is that you are actually meant to be doing, just actually mind it. Like, because the reason why most things, I mean, I can't say this objectively, but often often when things go out of control is because you weren't like paying attention, or you weren't like it's very difficult to deeply nurture a relationship and it still goes really badly, or it's very difficult to really focus on your career and it still goes anyhow. So it's very obviously like the devil comes sometimes and just kicks us completely off, but quite often, the way these things happen is he distracts you. So you're doing something else and you're not focusing. And then he allows the bad thing to happen. So, really, I think for me, in terms of this season of my life, it's really just encouraging myself to mind my business, to, as in whatever I think it is that's important to me. You know, again, maybe like to use another analogy, if you say that it's your finances or whatever, if you were tracking your finances day by day by day and week by week by week, it's very rare that all the money will just vanish and disappear. What will likely happen is that somebody says, "Oh, let's spend this money on this and let's spend this money on that," and all of a sudden you realize, "Oh, how did my money go away?" So it's like just make sure that you're focusing on the things that are important to you. So yeah, that's what's guiding me in this phase. But I suspect it will be different soon.
And I like it because I saw you say it on Instagram one time when you turned big 3 years. It was part of your 20 things, and what number was it? Was it number 18? I
I
think it
think
was
it was number 19.
18 or 19, one of them. 18 or 19. And why I remember this so vividly is that I went back to the desk and checked. I had questions that I was, but yeah, I like that as well. Focus on your focus.
Yeah, exactly. Focus on your focus. That's
Focus on your
another.
focus. Girls, day. Um, and then, and
Exactly.
so throwing the light at the end of the tunnel, last question is you are doing something amazing with the wealthy woman, with somebody that we know, like your partner.
Yes.
And when I saw your story post of how you were messaged to be part of the team and how you're like, oh, mommy, I just be my, and then the person keeps telling you, you're like, and then God too is telling you, Omod, you should do this thing. And from what I've seen, because I read about it, I went to the site, I went to your page, I went to the Wealthy Woman page. Correct me if I'm wrong, and please also shine some light on it. It is a community for women. Foundation being faith, like God led, but also personalized business, having that set of community to empower each other. So iron sharpener iron. It's just like a support system for your career, personal life, but also all led with faith in the background of it. Like, how was it born? What do you guys do? I know you had an event last week on the 17th.
Yeah.
How did the event go? You can talk about
Oh.
that. And what do you have planned for the future for the well-being?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so yeah, that's interesting that you brought up the whole thing around like yeah, how the idea came about or whatever. So like I said, I had this whole thing about like my work is not my life, my work is not my life, my work, what your work is, if because again, because I'm still ambitious, in spite of my work not being my life, I'm still ambitious. I still want to do well. And so it is an important part of my life, although it's not all of my life. And so like the friend that you mentioned, and we're working with somebody else that's also it's three of us, and then a wider team. But basically, I think that's something that we talk about a lot in terms of like being there for each other when it comes to career and business and any kind of like work of your hands type of growth. And but something that we realized and something that we've complained about and talked about and ranted about several times is the fact that generally within communities of women, we don't really have we don't really have those conversations around, like I feel like men don't have emotional, oh it's deep conversations. Men have, how are you going to buy this? How are you going to build this? How are you going to do this? Oh, I'm doing this business at work. My boss annoys me. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I want to pursue this promotion. Whereas women are the exact opposite, right? We don't really have those conversations. We just have conversations about, oh, look what happened on Instagram. Oh, this person annoyed me. Oh, this person did this. So it's really just about creating that, again, similar safe space for people for whom that conversation is important. Um, like you said, like I said, every single part of your life is important. I believe very strongly in multiple streams of fulfillment, or obviously you've heard people talk about multiple streams of income, but it's also important to have multiple streams of happiness, so that when, I think that's also something that losing my dad taught me, like, you shouldn't have just this one source of happiness, and if that one thing doesn't happen, then my life is a mess, right? So having multiple different sources of that fulfillment that you crave, multiple sources of peace, multiple sources of everything, right? And so that's really the fundamental of the wealthy woman. um, and it's really just about us being there supportive of each other when it comes to the career, when it comes to business, finding role models and mentors. I think peer mentorship was a very fundamental part of what the foundation of what we're doing. You have friends that are good in different things. You have some people that are excellent salespeople. You have some people that are excellent operations people, and just really being there for each other, being able to teach each other without needing to be in a room with, oh, CEO of I don't know,
Yeah.
whoever it is, or head of blah, blah, blah. Often we think that, oh, only that person can teach us something. Whereas someone that's in a room with you that is excellent in this certain area that you're not so great at can teach you literally what you need to know for tomorrow and next week and the week after. So it's really just it's really just accountability, and specifically in the area of the work of your hands. So the events that you were talking about on Saturday was titled Faith, Finances, and Fruitful Ventures. And so the other thing is the importance of relationships. Something that I'm learning is that's the importance of relationships, right? Every single thing that you do and you want to do is as a result of a relationship. Somebody has to give an approval for something, somebody has to say this is good enough, or somebody has to, and when you write a report, someone has to read it, right? So every single thing that you do has to do with like building good relationships, whether it's like friendships, professional relationships, and stuff like that. So I think a large part of it is really just bringing people together to build those relationships and those connections, because we never really know where those connections might lead. And I think men generally have that kind of inbuilt in the way that they operate, in the way that they build relationships. They connect more easily on professional stuff and like help one another to achieve joint goals. And I think it's just kind of like a view that we're trying to bring more and more into women's spaces. So and I think also there's the diasporan element. Again, people that are in their home country generally have that easy, more easily. You can talk about a promotion when you bump into somebody at the store. Whereas I know, for example, that earlier on in my career, I kind of saw work. Once I shut my laptop at 5, that's work. I never they don't exist in my world. I never bump into them. I never hang out with them. They're just work people. And then my real life is my real life, right? Whereas they're actually integrated, and just kind of like bringing good life habits and work habits together into a community of people who want to advance in life and achieve great things. So yeah, that's really what the community is about. And I think there's also, like you said, the faith element of it. Something that I learned recently is how your work is service. Like the things that you do are service, and the Bible also talks about working all the time as if you're working for God, right? So when I challenge myself about like not doing something good enough or not expressing something well enough, it's really about, if the audience for this thing was God, if the audience for this report was God, or this PowerPoint, would this be good enough for him? And like, it's not really about your boss. And this is like a challenge I give myself as well. One of my mentors says that if we're not kings, he cannot be king of kings. Like, who are the kings that he's kings of? It has to be like, he has to be us, right? On
Yeah.
earth. Like, it has to be us that we call ourselves his ambassadors of his kingdom. So he cannot be a king of kings if his followers are peasants. So I shouldn't be a peasant. And if in any way I'm demonstrating the behaviors of a peasant, I need to check that if I wreck myself. So it's really just about bringing that thinking into communities of women who want that and want to achieve ambitious goals and want to challenge themselves, etc. So in a way, like I mentioned, the dream I had was God kind of challenging me in that way, like, okay, you can lie down and chill and not do anything about it. I could see the vision very, very clearly. I could see where there was a gap very, very clearly. But I kind of was shying away a little bit from the responsibility of fulfilling it. And I think that dream was really God saying, it is, as in, I'm giving you this responsibility. So if you're shying away, you are literally saying no to me. And then I then couldn't say no. So, but yeah, I think it was great. Obviously there's a lot of learnings as it is when you first start something, but we really just believe that the community will continue to build itself, and like the needs of the community will continue to drive what we feel like we need to do at every given time. So we want to, at this point, it's really just about building community, understanding what people need, understanding what support people need, um, what information is not out there that they struggle with. Often there's even little things like salaries. Somebody gets a job offer and they think that they have an amazing job offer, but really the company is happy to pay three times more. But because they're happy to accept that low salary, then they're like, okay, cool, because they don't have anybody to talk to. So we want to like just really be a family for each other, basically, as relates to whatever it is that we're doing work-wise.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And just to add, and I'm happy you said the example of salary because me and Femi and Adelola were just gisting recently. And it's amazing when you talk to people who have like the experience and then they're like, no, don't accept that salary. Those guys can pay way more. And if you don't talk and in your head, you're like, man, and like, or challenging them and say, yeah, I have another offer. You know how sometimes you think, I tell them I have another offer, like making them uncomfortable to really show that they want you. And I feel like, as you said, now who know road, now who will they follow? Like, especially when no road and like people who have the experience guide you and show you that. So I think it's genuinely beautiful. I'm going here to see the success that it will be and the life it will impact.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm looking forward to it as well. And I think the most thing is it's just really about, for me, the thing that's most fulfilling slash nourishing about it is holding myself to a higher standard. And we pray frequently, and when we pray, I always just ask God for that I'm a worthy ambassador of his kingdom. Like that's what we want to be. We want to be ambassadors of God's kingdom. If you're lying and stealing and doing all the things that God says you should not do, but you're calling yourself an ambassador of his kingdom, it's not going to work. So it's really just holding yourself to a higher standard of behavior, of excellence. And yeah, I think that's what the community is doing. And I'm just kind of excited about it really.
Thank you. And I just wanted to hear more about it because I like it looked very inspiring, like from what I read and like seeing the post go up, and I see like when like the morning prayer links that you put
Yeah, on a Monday.
on yeah start the week off, and it's beautiful like having that community because again iron sharpen iron. The people you keep around you kind of
Exactly.
like if you look around you, you kind of know the kind of way or looking they talk that like there's a fluffy stuff. You kind of know how your life is and the kind of people and iron sharpness iron. And so thank you, man. Just wanted to hear because again, love your writing, love your pace. It makes life
Thanks.
actually very slow motion. Like, this life will they run. Calm down, enjoy yourself.
I love that.
You have to be. How will I say? Before you pour cup water for person, like your own cup that's the fully full. So and
Yes.
your pace always like intentional living, like or more take life there and be kind to yourself, love yourself, and obviously keeping God all in the center of it. And I know that we have been trying to do this stuff for 2 years, 3 years. So
Oh my God. I'm so happy. I
finally,
can't even believe that it's been 2 years. I
it goes
actually
fast.
thought it was last year,
No,
but
it was 2 years. Because no, the whole of last year as well, I didn't record it as well. Like I took.
oh yeah, yeah. Okay, you took a break. But then I thought the first time we had the conversation was maybe 2020, but the Gratitude series was actually 2019. So I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a long time,
yeah,
long time.